If you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it. And this you have the power to revoke at any moment. Marcus Aurelius. Most men are loud because they're weak. They bark, they argue, they chase approval because deep down they fear being ignored. But real strength isn't noisy. It's silent. It's the man who can sit in a storm and not flinch. The man who doesn't need validation because his purpose is louder than his ego. Life doesn't reward the reactive. It rewards the restrained, the disciplined, the focused, the ones who don't waste their energy on things they can't control. Harsh. Truth? If you can't control yourself, you'll be controlled by everything around you. The man who shouts the loudest is usually the one who's most afraid. He drowns out his insecurity with volume, hoping no one sees how lost he really is. But the Stoic man doesn't play that game. He doesn't need to be heard to feel worthy. He doesn't need to argue to prove a point. He speaks with action. He moves with intention. His silence screams louder than another man's tantrum. Because when your soul is anchored, you don't flinch at the waves. You let them crash, and you stand unmoved. Look around. Society has created a generation of emotionally fragile men. Men who panic over opinions, who collapse under pressure, who whine when things get hard. Why? Because no one taught them the value of restraint. No one told them that self-control is the foundation of real masculinity. The weak man needs constant reassurance. The Stoic man builds his own certainty. He doesn't explode, he endures. He doesn't seek the spotlight. He becomes the flame that lights his own path. Power belongs to the man who holds the line, not the one who crosses it every time he feels something. You want real strength? Then master silence. Master patience. Master the art of letting fools talk while you keep building. While they gossip, you grind. While they complain, you conquer. While they scream, you smile, because you already know where you're going. The Stoic man doesn't react. He responds, not from emotion, but from principle. That's the difference between a boy playing at manhood and a man who walks in truth. The world doesn't need more noise. It needs more stillness. And the man who can hold that stillness, he becomes unstoppable. There are two kinds of men walking the earth right now. The first is the emotional slave, scrolling endlessly, chasing, dopamine exploding over small things. The second is the quiet force, calm eyes, measured actions, and an unshakable inner world. One burns his energy in 1,000 directions and ends up empty. The other builds it up in silence and becomes a furnace of purpose. One is easily triggered. The other is immovable. One seeks comfort. The other seeks command. One dies with regrets. The other leaves a legacy. Which one are you? The emotional slave is ruled by impulse. His life is a never-ending reaction. Ping, scroll, rage, repeat. He's constantly at the mercy of his surroundings. The news, the algorithm, the opinions of strangers. He needs noise to drown out the silence, because the silence reminds him of everything he's not doing. He convinces himself he's busy, but he's just distracted. He calls it self-care, but it's self-sabotage. He lashes out because he has no power inside. Every little inconvenience is a catastrophe. He waits for motivation that never comes. He's not a man. He's a puppet pulled by invisible strings. But the quiet force? He's on a different frequency entirely. He doesn't chase dopamine. He chases domination over self. His mornings are sacred. His routines are weapons. While the world screams for attention, he sharpens his mind in silence. He listens more than he speaks, not because he lacks words, but because he's busy calculating. Impact. You feel his presence before he says a word. He is slow to anger, quick to adapt, and impossible to shake. He's not trying to be liked. He's trying to be legendary. His energy isn't wasted. It's weaponized. The emotional slave wants everything now. Pleasure now, success now, validation now. But anything that comes fast usually isn't real. He quits when it gets hard. He folds under pressure. His goals are loud, but his actions are silent. He confuses ambition with fantasy, dreaming big, but living small. He blames the world because it's easier than owning the mirror. He doesn't suffer from lack of opportunity. He suffers from lack of discipline. The quiet force is building while the world sleeps. He knows that greatness isn't built in comfort. It's forged in discomfort. He embraces boredom because he knows that mastery lives there. He doesn't need permission to move. He doesn't broadcast his plans. He shows results. His setbacks become fuel. His enemies become lessons. His pain becomes power. He's not in a rush because he's playing the long game. And when he finally speaks, the room listens. This world does not reward potential. It rewards proof. And the only proof that matters is what you do when no one is watching. Every day, you're casting votes for the man you're becoming. Are you building a legacy or just surviving another day? The emotional slave wants recognition. The quiet force wants control. One is addicted to comfort. The other is addicted to growth. One is a boy in a man's body. The other is a man the world can't ignore. The choice is yours, but the consequences are permanent. Silence, discipline, power. These aren't just words, they're a code. The Stoic man doesn't speak unless it's needed, doesn't act unless it's calculated, doesn't fold under pressure. He knows that silence is not weakness, it's control. That discipline isn't restriction, it's liberation. That power isn't noise, it's presence. The less he reacts, the more he masters. In a world addicted to expression, the man who holds back becomes untouchable. Stoicism teaches that the inner world is everything. And when you master that, the outer world bows in return. The Stoic man understands something the average person will never grasp. Energy is currency. Every word, every action, every emotional outburst, you're either investing or you're bleeding. He doesn't waste words on gossip or arguments because every syllable has a cost. His silence isn't awkward, it's intimidating. He listens, while others expose their weaknesses with noise. He studies before he speaks. He acts after he's calculated. He understands that speaking less makes his words land harder. The quieter he becomes, the more others listen. And the more control he has over his environment, because control begins with himself. Discipline is his armor. While the weak chase motivation, he builds momentum. He doesn't care how he feels. He does what needs to be done. While others scroll for morning routine hacks, he's already conquered his morning. He trains while others make excuses. He works when it's boring. He shows up when no one's watching. He's not driven by feelings. He's driven by standards. His schedule is sacred. His habits are weapons, and every day he sharpens them. Power, in the Stoic sense, has nothing to do with dominance over others. It's about dominion over self. The man who can rule his own mind has already won the greatest war. He doesn't explode in rage because he's trained himself to remain still in fire. He doesn't crumble under pressure because pressure reveals what's already strong. He doesn't beg for peace from the world because peace is his natural state. This kind of man doesn't need to prove power. He radiates it. He walks into a room and people feel it. Not because he's loud, but because he's anchored. That's true power, rooted, unshakable, and undeniable. Understand this, the Stoic path is not sexy, it's sacred. It won't get you applause. It won't trend, but it will build a life so solid that chaos avoids you. Women will feel your presence. Men will respect your silence. Life will test you and you'll smile. Because while the world was partying, you were preparing. While they chased pleasure, you built power. And now, you walk differently because you've earned it. To become this kind of man, you must suffer, but on your own terms. You must starve your impulses. You must sit in the silence that others run from. You must confront the demons they ignore. You must build discipline when no one's watching. You must choose power when weakness would be easier. You must be intentional with every move, every word, every breath. You must walk away from the noise. You must stand firm when everything tells you to fold. And when you do, you don't just become stoic, you become immortalized. Most people never understand this because they're addicted to reaction. They mistake impulsivity for authenticity. They think discipline is boring, silence is awkward, and restraint is weakness. That's why they suffer. That's why they stay stuck, chained by their emotions, tormented by opinions, destroyed by distractions. They speak before thinking. They chase what doesn't matter. They lose themselves in the noise of the world and wonder why they feel so lost. Power was never out there. It was always in them, but they never took the time to uncover it. They think they're being real by reacting, but they're just being controlled. Every little notification hijacks their brain. Every rude comment owns their mood. They're slaves dressed like free men. They think because they feel deeply, they're alive. But what they really are is unstable. They swing between high and low like a broken pendulum. There's no center, no ground, no core. That's why they can't hold a vision, a mission, or a relationship. Because nothing rooted in chaos can last. They confuse pleasure with purpose. They think chasing comfort is the goal, not realizing it's the trap. They eat what tastes good, watch what feels easy, say what's convenient, and then wonder why they're anxious, depressed, and powerless. Discipline looks hard on the surface, but it builds a foundation. Comfort feels good now, but collapses you over time. Restraint sharpens you. Impulse dulls you. Every time you give in, you give away your edge. You become softer, slower, more easily broken. And a man who's lost his edge has already lost the fight. You know what's terrifying? Most people will die having never even met their highest self. They'll never hear the silence inside them that could have led to greatness. They'll never feel what it's like to be so locked in, so focused, so grounded, that nothing can shake them. They'll live out a loop of excuses, distractions, and regrets. That's not just a failure, it's a tragedy, because the power was always available. The path was always clear. But they were too busy reacting to walk it, too busy talking to listen to the voice within. Stoicism isn't about being emotionless. It's about emotional mastery. It's about knowing when to feel, when to pause, and when to strike. It's a code of honor in a world that's lost its mind. Most people seek the path of least resistance. The Stoic man seeks the path of greatest alignment. He doesn't run from pain. He uses it. He doesn't beg for peace, he builds it within. He doesn't wait for strength, he trains it. And because of that, he becomes the one thing the modern world fears, a man who cannot be broken from the outside. So, ask yourself this: are you building your power or giving it away piece by piece? Every time you react to nonsense, you leak strength. Every time you stay quiet when your ego wants to scream, you gain it. Every time you train instead of scroll, hold your frame instead of fold, delay gratification instead of indulging, it's a deposit into your inner fortress. This is the silent contract every Stoic signs with himself. No fanfare, no applause, just a relentless commitment to mastery. And over time, that silence becomes louder than any noise. That discipline becomes untouchable. That man becomes a weapon forged in fire. Here's how you live like a Stoic man. Wake up before the world does. Begin your day with intention, not reaction. This is about domination, not just discipline. When you wake up before the noise starts, before texts, emails, demands, you own the most sacred part of the day, the beginning. Most people roll out of bed already behind, already reacting. That's not a life, it's a trap. The Stoic man chooses how to start instead of being dragged into chaos. That early silence is where clarity lives. It's where you decide who you are before the world tells you who to be. Whether it's journaling, training, cold showers, or solitude, your morning is your fortress. And if you don't control the start of your day, you'll never control the end of it. That's why the battle is won in the dark, before the world even opens its eyes. Practice daily silence, 10 minutes, no phone, no music, just your mind. Silence is no longer normal. Everyone's addicted to stimulation, scrolling, music, chatter, distractions. But in silence, the truth screams. You start to hear your thoughts, feel your weaknesses, face what you've been avoiding. Most people run from that. Stoics run toward it. 10 minutes a day where you confront your mind with no escape. That's where wisdom is born. That's where emotional control is sharpened. You become less reactive because you've already faced the storm within. And when you can sit in silence without needing to escape, you become someone the world can no longer shake. Build a code and follow it ruthlessly. Your discipline is your shield. You need a personal code, a non-negotiable system of values, rules, and principles. Not vague ideas like be better or do your best. No, exact standards, wake time, training schedule, what you allow, what you will never tolerate. A Stoic doesn't need motivation. He's driven by principle. His code protects him from the world's chaos because it keeps him anchored. When temptation strikes, when fear shows up, his code answers for him. No hesitation, no compromise. Most men fold because they don't know where they stand. Build a code and become the kind of man who never breaks it. Speak only when it improves the silence. Words are tools, not toys. Every word you speak either builds or destroys. Most people talk to fill space, to be heard, to feel important. But Stoics understand that silence is power and words are weapons. Use them wisely. Speak slowly, clearly, with purpose. When you speak less, people listen more. You'll command more respect with 10 sharp words than 1,000 useless ones. Never speak just to be liked. Never speak just to be loud. Let your silence be louder than other men's noise. And when you do speak, make it count like a sword. Through fog, expect hardship. Train for adversity before it arrives. Prepare your soul, not just your schedule. Most people are soft because they're surprised when life hits. A Stoic isn't surprised. He expects the hit. He trains for it. He does hard things daily not to show off, but to sharpen his edge. Cold showers, long runs, fasting, rejection, boredom, pain. He doesn't avoid discomfort. He invites it because he knows pain is the forge of power. While others are preparing their calendar, he's preparing his character. Life doesn't warn you when it breaks you. So become the kind of man who's already been tested. So when the storm comes, you smile. When a man becomes silent, the world leans in. When he becomes disciplined, the world follows. When he becomes powerful, the world no longer controls him. That's the path of the Stoic man. No noise, no drama, no excuses, just purpose, presence, and power. He's not afraid to be misunderstood. He's not chasing anything. He's becoming everything. This is how you become unbreakable. And in a world full of noise, he who controls himself controls all. You want to know why most men will never taste real freedom? Because they're addicted to noise. They fill every moment with chatter, music, opinions, distractions, anything to drown out the weight of their own soul. They don't want silence, because silence forces them to face who they really are. And what they see terrifies them. So they run. They run into comfort, into vice, into 1,000 meaningless things just to avoid the war inside. But a Stoic man doesn't run. He confronts. He sits with the silence and lets it burn away the weakness. That's where true transformation begins. Discipline isn't sexy. It doesn't give you a dopamine hit. It's not praised in group chats or liked on social media. Discipline is forged in isolation. Early mornings, cold showers, empty stomachs, long hours, repetition and rejection. It's saying no when everyone else says yes. It's grinding when no one is watching. It's resisting when every part of you is begging to indulge. That's why it's powerful, because few are willing to live that way. And in a world of soft men, the disciplined man becomes rare, and rare things become valuable. Power isn't about domination, it's about direction. The Stoic man doesn't need to control others because he controls himself. His power doesn't come from intimidation, it comes from intention. He doesn't move fast, but he moves right. He doesn't need to yell, his actions speak louder. He doesn't react, he calculates. And when the world tries to pull him off track, he doesn't budge. That kind of man becomes dangerous. Not to others, but to the lies and illusions society tries to sell. That kind of man becomes a force. And here's the beautiful paradox. When you stop chasing everything, everything begins to chase you. When you stop needing validation, people start respecting your presence. When you stop forcing, opportunities flow to you naturally. The Stoic man isn't magnetic because he's trying to impress. He's magnetic because he's aligned. His silence becomes strength. His focus becomes lethal. His calm becomes unshakable. He is the storm, but you'll never see it coming because he doesn't announce his power. He embodies it. You don't need more noise in your life. You need more clarity. You don't need more motivation. You need discipline. You don't need to talk louder. You need to listen deeper. This path isn't easy, but it's ancient, proven, and forged by the greatest men who ever lived. Marcus, Seneca, Epictetus. They didn't beg for strength. They became strength. And now it's your turn. Burn the excuses, kill the noise, and step fully into your silence, your discipline, your power. If this message shook something in you, good. That's your soul remembering who the hell you were meant to be. Drop a comment below and tell me how you're going to step into silence, discipline, and power. Like the video if it hit home. Subscribe if you're ready to become the man the world can't ignore. Every week we're diving deeper into ancient wisdom and unfiltered truth. No fluff, no games, just raw lessons for real men. Now go out there and walk the Stoic path.